This is Sarah Heredia, and you are listening to the Freely You podcast. Our time together is meant to inspire you to think bigger and empower you to live your life in a way that makes you proud to be you. I believe that the only box you should fit in is the one that you build for yourself, and I'm here to help you lay the foundation. My journey has taught me that we all deserve to create our own definition of success while meeting ourselves with love and a playful curiosity. My goal is to provide practical tools and fresh perspectives so you can rewrite your story, start living your life on purpose, and ultimately become more freely you. Well, hello there and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. I do have a different topic than I had originally thought about sharing with you today. Based on a series of events in my life that I will definitely share with you. But today I want to talk to you about pausing in our lives. And I had a guest on last week, my friend Angel, who is a mother. And she was talking about the power of our pause. And the way that she was referencing it was in our motherhood and really taking a step back when we're feeling heightened, when we're feeling maybe a little more impatient than normal, or when maybe we're reacting rather than responding the way that we want to. And just how powerful, like even, 30 seconds, if that, with like hand on the heart reflection, taking a pause and like zooming out and looking at the situation, not from our emotional perspective or not from our heightened perspective, but being able to disconnect from the situation at hand and pause and decide to show up differently to it. And I love that takeaway. And honestly, I did think about doing a podcast on that at some point. And then this weekend, we had a series of events that made me take one gigantic pause. And so a lot of you already are familiar with what I'm referencing. I did share a bit of this on social media. And thank you for all the love and support and kind words that I've received. But this weekend, we were going to Denver for a volleyball tournament for my daughter, and we were on I-70, which is essentially a mountain interstate, but it has some, treacherous is maybe intense, but can be some very treacherous parts of the drive depending on the weather. And we happen to be at one of those points. And so if you are familiar, it's a very distinct location, the Eisenhower Tunnel. I think it's the longest tunnel, man-made tunnel in the US that actually goes through a mountain. And to get to this tunnel, you have to go straight up the mountain, essentially. So it is this really big incline. There's definitely a steady gain in elevation. And so as we're driving up this mountain, my husband just out of nowhere says, like, I think you're going to have to drive. I'm having shortness of breath. And I was like, okay, that it was just, really out of nowhere, because he's never said anything like that before. Nothing like happened to heighten him. We were literally just having like a casual little car ride. And he just started feeling shortness of breath. So I'm like, okay, please pull over. Well, there's basically nowhere to pull over. And it's just kind of sketchy because everybody's like climbing up this mountain. So I'm like watching him and noticing that like I can tell physically that like his body language is changing a little bit. And so I'm like, are you going to pull over? Because I'm thinking like the last thing I need you to do is like pass out behind the wheel here, right? Like we have our kids in the car. This is like worst case scenario. You're going to pass out and we're just going to go flying off the mountain. So he keeps driving and he's like, it's okay, I'm going to get us to the top. And then he's like, yeah, my hands are going numb. Oh, my face is going numb. So like this is progressing pretty quickly, like over like a 4-minute time span. So we finally get to the top. He pulls over like in the median. So in between the interstate that goes east and west, we're right in the middle of the 2 lanes. And it's covered in snow. So I get in the driver's seat. He like immediately puts his chair back like he wants to lay back. I could just tell that he's like in severe like discomfort. And if you've ever been on this road, you know that like coming down this pass it's intense. People are like flying out of this tunnel and we're like probably 20 or 30 feet away from the opening of this tunnel. So cars are just flying by like 75 miles an hour. And I am trying to gain enough speed on snow that I can get us in front of traffic and going down this hill. And so I eventually do that. Stressful as can be while your husband's like hyperventilating, and I'm trying not to get us just smashed by oncoming traffic. So finally get going the direction going back towards where we came from, because he had told me like, I think I need to go to urgent care. Also, you guys, my husband is like the chillest, most like laid back guy, and he never like goes to the doctor. So for him to say like, I need to go to urgent care. So while he was driving, I had looked, the closest urgent care was behind us. So that's why we turned around. So we're going down this pass now. I have my hazards on. I'm like trying to weave in and out of traffic the best that I can to get us there as quickly as I can. And then he's like, we need to call 911. And that is when like my heart sank, because I'm like, oh my God, like we need to call 911. There's no way for them to get here. Like they have to do what we just did. They have to go up this pass and then come back down this pass. That's going to take forever. Like if this man really needs like CPR, like vital assistance right now, I'm the only one here to give that to him. And so I'm trying not to panic. My daughters are trying not to panic. I can, they're terrified, but they're not saying much because I think they just knew the situation. And that was the irony behind all of it, is that we were all so calm during all of this. But my husband ends up calling 911. Yes, he called 911 because I am trying to like weave in and out of traffic here. And he's like, I'm the one with the emergency. So calm. And the sweet little 911 lady's like, yeah, sir, maybe I could talk to your wife if you're the one having the emergency. So anyway, we essentially agreed with the 911 lady that the best idea was to meet at the next exit so that the ambulance didn't have to come up and down. So we end up making it to the town, exiting the highway, and chaos. Honestly, it was chaos. The 911 lady is like, go into the gas station, see if they have a defibrillator. So I'm like running in the gas station. I'm like, excuse me. There's this huge line and I'm just over here like a little mouse, like, excuse me, do you have a defibrillator? Lady has zero idea what I'm talking about. She's like, no, but we have this like oxygen can. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm looking for like cardiac arrest things right now. Like I might need to save a life. I don't think the oxygen can is going to help. So anyway, luckily, as soon as I went out of the gas station, because there was no defibrillator, I heard the siren. So there was a cop that came, an ambulance, and a fire truck. So they start working on my husband, taking care of him, and all his vitals look good. So that immediately was like just a huge relief, like, because I honestly thought he was not breathing. His face is numb at this point, like he can't smile, his hands are numb. And so yeah, it was terrifying. And the second that my husband got out of the car and into the ambulance, like the girls just started bawling. And it was like we had all just been holding in like all these emotions. And so it was scary, to say the least. And then fast forward, they ended up taking him to the ER because he was having an irregular heartbeat. And we sat in the ER for like 6.5 hours with no real answers. They kept running different tests, and we would get like little bits of information, but not enough to be like, okay, but what is actually going on? And what do we do about it moving forward? And then eventually they ended up transferring him to Denver. And that is like a 2.5 hour ride down the mountain, because it was at the end of the day. So there was skier traffic. So we were sitting behind the ambulance all the way to Denver. So really, like, beginning to getting to the hospital in Denver, this is like a 9-hour affair probably that this is all happening. And the irony is that 9 hours like flew by and went in slow motion at the exact same time. And it was like everything, I could just see everything so clearly. And it was this like very surreal moment. And I think that, you know, unfortunately, I think for a lot of us, that is what it takes for us to stop and pause like that, are these big like moments in our life, or this big change, or these big events that maybe are unexpected. And that's the thing that causes us to pause. And so this was a forced pause on my end. I did not go out of my way to pause for 9 hours straight. And then plus the next day was kind of the same thing, all this testing, they monitored him overnight. So really just like this like 24-hour window with like no answers, and just like hoping for the best, like hoping that they figure it out, hoping that it's actually not that big of a deal, hoping that it was just like all these random like series of events and it's not a problem and we can just like carry on with our lives. But, you know, in that moment, or I guess you could say those moments, I couldn't help but reflect on, you know, fucking everything. Because when you have, you know, I don't care if it's your life or somebody that you care about dearly's life flash before your eyes like that, you can't help but think about where your regrets would lie, or what you would do differently, or things you wish you would have said, or like even, you know, for me, I'm like thinking about like how annoyed I get with like little stuff that he does. And like, this is, you know, we've been together like 15 years. I think this is all normal, but like he scrapes like his bowl and his plate and it drives me insane. And I feel the need to tell him it like every time he does it. And like just little stuff like that, that I'm like, God, like he's so good. Our family's so good. Like everything's so good. And I am like reflecting on the littlest things that I would change about the way that I'm showing up in our lives and in our relationships. And I'm also like having this profound moment about my business. And I'm like, dude, your business, and this is like actually the words that like came through for me, is like, your business is not your baby. And I think I've been treating it like that. Like I care about it so much, and that's beautiful. And that's great. And I'm so happy that I love my job that much. And I know that you get that because you're here and you've heard me. And like, at the end of the day, like you guys, I love my job and I love the people that I support, but my business is not the foundation of my life. You know what I mean? Like my family is absolutely everything. So, wow, sorry. I didn't expect to get choked up about this, but I think today is like just kind of brought back all these emotions because I've had so many of you reach out to me and just show so much support. So anyway, the point is that I haven't had a moment like this in a really long time. And I actually can pinpoint the last time that I had a moment like this is in 2018. And it was when my sister passed away. And that was such a monumental moment for me in my life because it really made me reflect on what I was doing and also what I was not doing. Hang on, I'm just gonna have a drink of my tea, you guys. I don't know why I'm like I had zero plan to get emotional on this, but here we are, real talk. Okay. So when my sister passed away, it was like this gigantic wake-up call because I was sitting in this career that I fucking despised. Like, I literally cried like basically every Monday when I was going to work. Anytime I went on a vacation, I dreaded coming back. Like, I just, this career was like sucking the life out of me. And also, it made me reflect on my relationships. I was not close to my sister when she passed away. And so I had to look at my role in that. And I had to look at the way that I was avoiding a lot of areas in my life and areas of relationships that felt hard or complicated. And honestly, that's like so much of when I just went like so deep into my own healing journey. And that was the catalyst. My sister passing away, I literally put in my 2 weeks, like I think the day after, because it just put everything. And again, it was like the world stopped spinning, and it was like I couldn't help but zoom out and look down at me and my life and how I was showing up and the decisions that I was or was not making, and decide to choose something different because I was forced to look at that. And everything happens for a reason, right? Man, sometimes I hate saying that, like with situations like that, but we're always being shown what we need to see. I think that would be a better way to put it in this context. We're always being shown what we need to see. And I was thinking about this, pause that I've been taking the last now going on 4 days. And just kind of like all the revelations that I've had about like what's important and what's my purpose and who am I here to help and how do I want to show up for my family and how do I want to build my business around my family life and all of these things. And there is a reason that I'm sharing this all with you. I hope that you know that. But the reason that I am sharing this all with you is that I want to help you facilitate this pause in your own life without having to have a gigantic scare, without having to lose somebody that you love, without having to have some, earth-shattering circumstance that makes you question everything and makes you really like take a really good look at you and how you're showing up and the way that you're living your life and the people that you love and what you're giving those people, what you have left to give those people after you give to your career, to all these other aspects of your life. And so that is what I'm hoping to do for you, is to facilitate this pause. And really, this can be on a micro level, like we were talking about in last week's episode, as a parent, just like taking a step back and not reacting, but rather taking the time to respond. This can be in our relationships. Maybe you shut down. Maybe you lose your temper. Maybe you avoid a lot of really hard situations. Maybe you distract yourself. Maybe you zone out. Maybe you numb yourself so that you don't have to feel some of these bigger feelings. And the invitation really is just to pause and see your world right now for what it is. See the way you're showing up for the people that you love. See the things in your life as they are, and actually take a minute, take a step back, and decide if you're happy with all of that. And I will say what was really beautiful for me this time compared to with my sister, there was so much regret with my sister. Oh my God. In this situation, I felt so much gratitude, so much thankfulness for everything that we have for just this life. And oh boy. And I could just see so clearly the life that I'm building and the life that I've built and the decisions that I've made to get me here. And it feels really good to have this pause and to be able to say that, to let that be the thing that I can take away from this is, oh my God, I'm so thankful for what I do have, rather than that guilt or shame or regret. But that's also something that maybe I wasn't feeling enough of, like how often am I just sitting and in admiration of my husband, and like the fact that this man is like in an ambulance and sending my daughters like funny faces because he wants them to be okay. Even though that I know he's panicking, he's freaking out, and he's worried about them. That's so amazing, right? Like, what a man. Like, what a family I have. And honestly, I just felt so proud of the life that I built, and that I've continued to show up and stand for what's important to me and not take the easy path. And it's been a really beautiful moment overall. But I also know how it is to be in those moments and to not have all those good feelings coming in. And so the invitation is for you to take a pause, whether that's today, whether that's this week, but really just to zoom out and look at your life and look at the way that you're moving through it every single day. Are you waking up feeling stressed or feeling overwhelmed or feeling defeated the second that your feet hit the floor because you already know you have so much to do, you're already behind, or you are going into a career that doesn't fill you up, or you're not happy in your relationships? Like, what is right in front of your face that you are simply going through the motions and flying through your days and not seeing? And maybe it is good things. Maybe there is so much that you have to be thankful for, but are you actually taking the time to do that? So this can be a 2-second process, or this can be a 2-hour process, or a 2-day process, but there is so much power in this pause. And that's what I'm finding right now. Like, I'm finding clarity in where I'm going. I'm finding just inspiration and motivation to do better for me and my family. I'm feeling thankful for all that I have. And like, that's all coming from this pause. And as of right now, everything's good with my husband. Like, we're good. We're home. He's settled. We're still waiting on some answers, but it's not like I'm being faced with this, huge life-changing event. Thankfully, thank you. But it's just this surreal moment where everything goes in slow motion, where I see everything clearly. So if you haven't done that recently or anytime, maybe ever, I know I really hadn't. Probably up until, that point with my sister, I don't think I really had that moment in my adult life. And so what are the areas of your life that maybe are passing you by in some way, shape, or form? Like, is it that you're settling in a career or in a relationship, or settling on your own personal goals, your commitment to yourself, your ability to follow through? Like, where are the areas that if something was to happen and just rock your entire world tomorrow, like, and honestly, like, this is so cliche, but also true. Like, life is so short, life is so precious, and it's not promised. And if you really think about that, like, if you knew that today was your last day on earth, would you feel settled with that? Would you feel happy with that? Are you going to lay your head down tonight and feel at peace with that? Because if not, there's choice in that. You have choice in that, and you can choose something different for yourself. Your life should be a reflection of everything that you want right now, not everything that maybe someday you'll do, or when all the stars align and everything looks perfectly, or when you change this and this finally works out. No, right now, today, what area of your life needs your attention? Where do you need to pause? Where do you need to take a step back? And where do you need to reevaluate the way that you are showing up? And this can be as small as getting irritated at your husband for scraping his plate, or this can be real, big things in your life. But this, taking this time for this pause, even if it's for 10 minutes after you're done listening to this episode, like, please take time for this. And I want you to think of it like that, like you're zooming out and you're removing all the emotions and all the like beliefs and the doubt and the fear and all the humanness inside of you that's going to hold you back from doing the things that you really want to do, from showing up the way that you really want to show up, and taking a look at your life objectively. If this was it for you, do you feel good about that? Can you say, of course you haven't accomplished everything you want to accomplish. I haven't either. But I know in my heart, if I were to leave this world tomorrow, I would feel, pretty settled with, I've done some bold things the last few years, and I'm feeling pretty at peace with the way I'm living my life and the way I'm showing up. And I couldn't have said that 3 years ago. Absolutely not. I couldn't have said that 5 years ago. No way. So that's the thing too. This can all shift for you so quickly. And you deserve to live a life that's so full that you can say that you can say that you're at peace with how you showed up, that you can say that everybody in your life knows how you feel about them and knows what you believe and what you stand for and what you care about and what's important to you. I mean, even those things, like, that's your legacy, you guys. That's your legacy. And if you do take time for this pause, which I highly encourage, know that you have the power of choice. And that the more that you continue to pause like that and reevaluate where you're at and what you're doing and what needs to shift, the better it's going to get. And I always say, this is the irony, is that I'm always telling you guys like how life can change in an instant and like everything can be different for you and, in a moment. And I say that all the time because I believe that. And the irony is that I was shown the duality of that truth this weekend, because just as easily as we can shift our lives for the better, our lives can completely shift out of our control in an instant. And that's why it's so important that we are living this way and that we are taking time to pause and reflect and get really clear on what's important. So obviously this conversation was on my heart. I couldn't show up for my podcast and not talk about this. So I hope that this lands for you. I want nothing more than for you to feel like you are living to your fullest potential and your life is what you want of it. And you do feel good when you go to bed at night. Like, that is what I want for you. That is what I want for all of us. So do not underestimate the power of the pause, whether it's for 30 seconds, 3 hours, 3 days, go on a sabbatical for all I care. Like, just take a second for this and let it sink in. I am sending you all so much love. Thank you for listening. And sorry for the emotions. Those were unexpected, but I've been just shown like, man, this human experience is a wild one. and we get to decide what that is for us. So take the pause, and live a life you feel really good about. To those of you that tune in every single week, thank you. I hope you already know just how much I love you. If you are just finding me or just stepping into my work, welcome. I am so happy that you are here. You can find more of me and my work on Instagram at Freely Sarah Heredia. I also am hosting a women's self-discovery retreat May 20th through 22nd at the most fabulous location here in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, and I still have space for you to join me there. If you are looking for more consistent support and community, I want to tell you about my women's group, The Nest. We offer a monthly membership where you have access to the entire community of amazing women who are doing big things and crushing life, plus all the calls that we have throughout the month, or you can drop into any single call that we have that interests you. So you can find more on all of this and all of my work through the link in the show notes. But no matter how long you have been with me, thank you for being here, and truly, I would love to see more of you.